In just 30 days, my life changed forever. This is my story from zero to hero. I remember the day I felt truly lost. I was surrounded by people, yet I felt utterly alone. I had a good job, a loving family, and supportive friends, but something was missing. I felt stuck, unfulfilled, and uncertain about my purpose. I was adrift in a sea of expectations, unsure of how to find my own way. Days turned into weeks, and that feeling of unease lingered. I realized I had fallen into a routine that no longer served me. I was going through the motions, but my heart wasn't in it. I knew I needed a change, a spark to ignite my spirit and set me on a path toward a more fulfilling life. One evening, I confessed my feelings to my best friend Sarah. I told her I felt like a failure, like I was letting everyone down, including myself. I was tired of feeling lost and overwhelmed. I was ready for a change, but I didn't know where to begin. Sarah listened patiently, her eyes filled with compassion and understanding. When I finished, she simply smiled and said, "You are not alone. We all feel lost sometimes. The important thing is that you're ready to find your way back." Sarah's words were a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the darkness. She reminded me that I wasn't broken, I was simply going through a period of growth and transition. She encouraged me to embrace this feeling of being lost as an opportunity for self-discovery. She shared her own experiences of overcoming challenges and reminded me of my strengths and resilience. She challenged me to stop focusing on my perceived failures and start celebrating my small victories. That night, I made a decision. I would no longer allow fear and self-doubt to hold me back. I was done with feeling lost and unfulfilled. I was ready to reclaim my life and create a future filled with purpose, passion, and joy. Sarah suggested I start small. She encouraged me to set a goal, something challenging yet achievable. She reminded me that even the longest journey begins with a single step. That night I vowed to commit to a 30-day transformation journey. The first week was about laying the foundation for lasting change. I began by decluttering my physical space. I cleaned out my closets, donated clothes I no longer wore, and reorganized my apartment. This act of letting go of physical clutter created a sense of spaciousness and clarity in my mind. Next, I turned my attention inward. I started journaling every morning, pouring my thoughts and feelings onto the page. This daily practice helped me process my emotions, identify my limiting beliefs, and cultivate self-awareness. I committed to 30 minutes of exercise each day, even if it was just a brisk walk around the block. As the week progressed, I felt a shift within me. I was replacing negative self-talk with positive affirmations. I began each day with gratitude, acknowledging the good in my life. I felt a renewed sense of energy and purpose. Section 4. Week 2, Building Momentum and Facing Fears. Week 2 was about building momentum and stepping outside my comfort zone. I signed up for a photography class, something I'd always wanted to do but had been too afraid to try. I challenged myself to have one uncomfortable conversation each day, whether it was expressing my needs to a loved one, or speaking up in a meeting at work. I made a conscious effort to surround myself with positive and supportive people. I reached out to friends and family members who uplifted and inspired me. I made new connections with like-minded individuals who shared my interests and values. As I continued to push myself outside my comfort zone, I began to realize that my fears were often unfounded. The more I faced my fears, the less power they had over me. Section 5, Week 3, Embracing Discomfort and Celebrating Wins. Week 3 was about embracing discomfort and celebrating my progress. I learned that growth and transformation often involve discomfort and uncertainty. I reminded myself that it was okay to make mistakes. They were simply opportunities for learning and growth. I started tracking my progress, both big and small. I celebrated every victory, no matter how insignificant it may have seemed. I acknowledged my efforts and gave myself permission to feel proud of how far I had come. I learned the importance of self-care and made time for activities that brought me joy and rejuvenation. I indulged in long walks in nature, listened to uplifting music, and spent quality time with loved ones. Section 6, Week 4, Reflection, Refinement, and Reaching Higher. Week 4 was a time for reflection, refinement, and setting my sights even higher. I looked back on the past month with a sense of accomplishment and gratitude. I had faced my fears, pushed past my comfort zone, and emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. I reviewed my goals, identified areas for improvement, and set new intentions for the future. I committed to continuing my self-growth journey, knowing that transformation is an ongoing process. I learned that true happiness and fulfillment come from living a life aligned with my values and pursuing my passions with unwavering determination. I embraced the journey knowing that there would be challenges and setbacks along the way, but I was ready to face them head on.